The ROTC program that Oklahoma State University had in those days was very detailed. It was a 4-hour program, and you take it for 4 semesters. You're in classroom 4 days a week, and you spend 4 hours a week in the lab. So most of the training that Fort Benning gave me, I'd already had. I received orders to go to Germany to the 11th Airborne Division. And I had a few days off of vacation leave before I had to report to the Eastern Coast Port. My parents put me on a train in Russellville, Arkansas. Rode the train to New Jersey, got on an airplane, flew into Rhein-Main in Frankfurt, Germany. Got a German train, rode that train to my duty station, which was Augsburg, Germany. And my company commander met me at the train, took my suitcase, put it in his Jeep, took me to quartermaster, drew my field gear, and hauled me to the woods. The unit was in the woods training. I didn't get back to my suitcase and a place to live as a bachelor officer for about 10 days. That was my introduction to Germany, 11th Airborne Division. The way they built their houses, they would get a family to commit to build a building or a house, and then they would be allowed to rent space. In our case, the house was a 3-story if you count the attic. We were on the 2nd floor. The bottom floor was rented. Our floor was rented. The family lived in the attic. We had the bathroom. Friday night was the German family's night to use the bathroom. The hot water tank you fired with wood. Unfortunately, most of our training was done during the week, and we normally get finished with the training on Friday. And you've been out in the training area for 4 or 5 days, and you come home and all the hot water's gone. The German family had had their Friday night bath. This was an interesting time. A lot of people don't realize that the Cold War was not well publicized to the American people back in the United States. The soldiers there, they felt it. We all felt it. We stayed combat loaded with all of our equipment all the time. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. 3 days worth of ammunition, fuel, rations on our vehicles. It never came off. And we had 2 hours to clear our concern if we get an alert. And you never knew where it was going to be real or practiced, and we had many practice films. Our readiness was not very good. We were short people, we were short spare parts, we were short fuel. We tried to do at least one summer maneuver and one winter maneuver. And there were occasions when we walked. We didn't have any fuel for the vehicles. We ate a lot of sea rations, no hot food. It was a good education, and it gave me a great foundation for the rest of my Army career. Great experience. When I came back to the United States, I was assigned to the 3rd Infantry, the Old Guard at Fort Myer, Virginia. And it's a 2-mission role for that unit. They have a security mission for the Washington, D.C. area, as each service does. And it's also the ceremonial unit, the Army ceremonial unit. My assignment there initially as a lieutenant, I was commander of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And it was probably the greatest honor I've received in my 30 years in the military, to be able to head up that group of young men. After I left as the Guard commander, I became the commander of the Honor Guard Company. My company, the Honor Guard Company, had the responsibility for all the state ceremonies, all the full honor ceremonies in the Arlington Cemetery. The state ceremony includes South White House lawn. When the president has a visiting head of state, there's always a ceremony in the South White House lawn. Following that, there would be a street parade, and it's the same street parade that you'll see on TV or during the presidential inauguration. And then that head of state comes to Arlington Cemetery here at the tomb, and it's normally done on the steps you can't see from here back down here. Sometimes it's done up here on the plaza, and places a wreath. And since the Army basically owns the tomb, and it's a senior service, I, as the commander of my company, was in charge of the joint wreath laying ceremonies. In addition to the ceremony mission, my soldiers had to be prepared to do their defensive mission. So normally on Thanksgiving, we'd go to A.P. Hill, Virginia, and spend a couple of weeks in the field, making sure that at least at squad level, they can handle live fire exercises. So, the Armor School was an interesting assignment, learned a lot. We had, it's a 36-week course. We normally had our exams every Saturday. But they added an addition to the course, which I'd never heard of before, but I found out in a hurry. We had to go through a program called Prefix 5 qualification. Prefix 5 qualified officer is the one that plans, determines the size of, and determines the result from the use of a tactical nuclear weapon. And the same thing is true with employment of chemical and biological weapons. So every officer in that course, when I went through it, I don't know how long that course ran, but I know it was at night. It was added on. So we went to school for several weeks at night just doing that. From there, I got the orders to Vietnam. Then I was sent to the Delta, and almost to the far southern extreme, just one province north of the southern South China Sea. Combat operations, after I arrived there that afternoon about 5 o'clock, my boss said, there's an operation going to start at 3 o'clock in the morning. Do you want to go? I said, well, do I have a choice? I said, I'd like to meet my counterpart. I hadn't met my counterpart yet. He said, well, they're already rigged up to go. I said, well, certainly I'll go. I met my interpreter and my driver. So we took off that morning. Supposed to be a one-day operation that lasted about 4 or 5 days. We lost an awful lot of people on that operation. From MacDill, they sent me back to Vietnam. I was told that I had been promoted to lieutenant colonel. And I was told that I would go in January, but then assignments officer called me and said, we need some help. We have 5 battalion commander positions opening up the first of the year, and we can't get anybody to take them. Said, if you will volunteer to go, leave MacDill in September, and I had to go to a couple of little schools, we will put you on direct orders. Otherwise, if you go in January, you'll go in the pipeline and don't tell them where you'll wind up. So I jumped at that chance. So that's what I've trained for all these years for. And so I departed on Thanksgiving Day. I would hope that they would look at it from the standpoint, if anybody was thinking about being in a career in the military, it's a wonderful life. It's challenging. It's a different day every day, and you develop camaraderie and what have you that lasts forever. And it's important to the nation.